So welcome back to the Field to the Freezer Wild Game Processing Series. We're in our 4th video of our series here, and we're going to show you on this one how to break down this rear hind quarter, separate all these muscle groups, and then show you how to cut steaks or roast or anything that you might want to do out of this piece of meat. I'm using the Wild Game Processor Kit, Outdoor Edge. Their boning knife works great for this. What I like to do first is clean off the hind quarter, both sides, peeling off any of this fat that's on here, any of the blued meat, kind of cleaning up anything that would have happened from field dressing or anything otherwise. So I like to go around and just peel that cover off and just trying to just kind of peel that fat layer off the top the best that you can without taking a bunch of meat with it. There's a little bit of vein that runs in there. So we'll clean that up. Get this over to the side for right now. So we can just kind of shave the top end of this off. And then flip it over and do the same thing there. You can see a little bit of hair and debris from field dressing the animal, a little bit of blood and stuff, and we'll just set some of this aside and we can go through and kind of clean it up a little better later and salvage any meat that's in there. But right now, for the sake of keeping this video nice and short and educational, we're just going to get right down to the bare bones of things here for right now and just finish cleaning up any of this. So there we've got a pretty nice cleaned up hind quarter, as you can see. Getting rid of any little bit of hair there. So now I like to start at the top of this ball joint right here and make a cut in and follow that bone to the front of this knee right here. And then I like to break it off right there and come around to the back side and follow that bone down. I like to cut above this tendon. It gives me a nice little handle there to follow this shank meat up, because I'm gonna take this whole piece all off of here as one before we start splitting it down. So then I just shove my knife through on the bottom side of the leg bone, that femur bone there, and just keep following this all the way around. I'll come back and grab the shank on this side and just keep cutting it back towards those last cuts that we made. And just this will all come off of here in one nice piece, and then we can start separating it here in just a second. So there, we've cleaned off from that leg bone, and we can clean some more up on this here a little bit later. There's a little bit of stuff there, but again, I want to get right down to things here and get to the important part. So there's 4 different muscles in here that we can utilize that I like to split apart. So there's a membrane in between each one of these muscles, and you can see the knife will kind of find its way to them. So right here we'll split out. This is the bottom and top rounds, and I'll just kind of feel for that membrane, and you can watch this as they just kind of separate themselves. So first one out here, I'm going to separate this shank meat from, this is the bottom round. There's a gland in here that we want to remove and get that out of there. And then I'll clean off this silver skin here. And a little bit of fat there, some blood. We'll just kind of clean this off. There's a real tough piece there to clean that up. So you got a pretty nice clean bottom round roast for right now. That's what we're going to leave it as. Okay, now we'll come back to the top round. That's this bigger. This is where you get your nice big lean steaks out of this, or you can do a roast. So just kind of clean it up a little bit more and square it off, and we'll show you how to cut steaks out of that here in a minute. But there I've cleaned it up and got it ready. So there's your bottom round, your top round. Got a little trim pile that will start there. So now the last 2 muscles are this knuckle. This is your sirloin tip. Now there's another little sirloin that sits on top of this. I'm just going to kind of pull away and follow this membrane around. On a 1.5-year-old buck like this, there's a decent little chunk of meat there. Smaller does, stuff like that. You're not going to have much of a significant piece here, but you can grab a couple little steaks out of it. So there's that sirloin there. And then this is the peeled knuckle and or the sirloin tip. So I'm just going to clean off more of this blued meat around the edge, and we can use this for trim. This will go into our trim pile that we'll clean up out here in a little bit. And I like to just square this off. So there you have your muscle groups split out and ready for either cutting steaks, you could make a roast out of them, or as I like to do a lot of times, just to reduce the risk of freezer burn exposure in the freezer, depending on what dish that I'm making or preparing, I might just vacuum pack this whole piece just like this. That way, not every single steak, you've got less exposure to having freezer burn on this piece of meat. So that's another thing that you can do to preserve it better that way. But I'm going to go through each one of these and show you how to cut a steak. So always cut against the grain. So I'm going to start on the top side of this and just start making cuts for these steaks. And you can see that makes a really nice, lean steak. That's what's really fun and really healthy about wild game, is it's such a lean protein, such a good quality protein. And being able to do this for yourself, to provide clean meat like this for your family, that's just all part of the fun to me. I mean, hunting obviously is a big part of it, but this is where you really reap the true rewards right here, is learning how to process your own game and kind of completing that entire circle. Here, the bottom round, we're going to do the same thing. Cut these steaks. I like to do them about a 1/2 inch thick. And you can see there's your bottom round steak. So we'll go through and just finish this up quick. So there we've got the bottom round cut, top round cut, trim pile going, and we'll get this last one, our sirloin tips. This one here's got a little more gristle in it. Some guys like to prefer to put them into a roast to get away from, they just got a little tougher to them. They got some different lines in there of gristle that are going to give it a little more toughness to it, but still can make a nice little, you can see, sirloin tip steak. And we'll finish cutting that out. So there we've got all of our steaks out of one hindquarter there. It's the best yielding part of the deer for nice lean meat. We've started another trim pile here for burger that we'll clean up. But that concludes this part of the series. I thank everybody for watching, and we welcome your questions and comments and anything that we can help you with. Again, we hope this makes you a better at-home processor to complete that full circle field to the freezer. Thanks for watching.